What if the way you're walking right now is quietly setting you up for a fall? Not because of a wet floor or a loose rug, but because of how you stride, where your attention goes while you're moving, and the shoes you put on this morning. That's where most falls actually come from. Not the external stuff, the internal patterns nobody thinks to change. And the number that makes all of this real. 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls every year. That's 14 million people in a single year. And of the ones who fracture a hip from that fall, 1 in 4 of them won't be alive 6 months later. Not from the fall itself, from what comes after, the immobility, the complications, the body struggling to recover. That is what's on the line. Now I want to be clear about something. This video is not about making you afraid to walk, it's the opposite. It's about showing you 8 specific, evidence-based things you can change about the way you walk, starting today. Some are physical adjustments, a couple have to do with attention, and at least one of them is going to make you think, I had no idea that was an issue. We're going to cover the why behind each one too, because once you understand what's happening in your body, the changes make sense. They stick. Let's get into it. Walking isn't as automatic as you think. When you were in your 30s, it basically was your brain could run that motor program in the background while you thought about other things entirely. But by the time you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, walking starts to demand more conscious attention. Your brain has to work harder to manage it, and that changes the risk profile completely. Stay with me here, because this is the part most people miss. As we age, stride length gets shorter. Then walking speed starts to drop. And by the time those two things have changed, something else has shifted too. The amount of time you spend with both feet planted on the ground at the same time gets noticeably longer. Your body is doing all of this on purpose. It's compensating. It thinks it's being careful, but, and this is the counterintuitive part, those same changes also make you less stable, not more. A shorter stride with less forward momentum makes it harder to recover when something unexpected happens. A slower gait means less dynamic stability. Your body is playing it safe in a way that's quietly making things worse. And why is this happening in the first place? The signals coming into your brain, from your inner ear, from the soles of your feet, from your eyes, they're not as sharp as they used to be. So your brain is working with less reliable information. It's doing the best it can, but it's navigating with a slightly blurry map. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's not that your brain is failing. It's that the input systems feeding it information are less precise. The brain's response is completely rational. The problem is that the response itself creates new vulnerability. And then there's the fear piece. This is the part that really concerns me, because once someone has a fall, or even a close call, they get scared. Completely understandable. So they start moving less. They stay home more. They avoid anything that feels uncertain. Uneven pavement, the garden, the stairs to visit a friend. And they feel like they're making a smart choice. But what's actually happening is they're getting weaker. Leg muscles losing strength from disuse. Balance getting worse from lack of challenge. Gait becoming more tentative. Shorter, slower. And now they are genuinely more likely to fall than they were before. The fear is creating the outcome they were afraid of. 5 years down the road, 10 years, this is how people lose their independence. Not in one dramatic event. In 1,000 small decisions to sit instead of walk. To stay in instead of go out. To let someone else handle it. I've talked to people who went from being genuinely active, hiking, gardening, playing with grandkids on the floor, to being afraid to walk to the end of their own driveway. And when you ask them when it changed, they can't even tell you. It happened so gradually they didn't notice until they tried to do something they used to do easily, and couldn't. They almost always say the same thing. I wish someone had told me sooner. So that's why these 8 things matter, because they interrupt that cycle before it starts. Let's talk about what to actually do. Secret 1. Your shoes are probably wrong. Not wrong as in broken or worn out. Wrong as in they're not designed to keep you stable. There was a study that followed 765 older adults living at home for more than 2 years, looking specifically at what people were wearing when they fell. The findings were hard to ignore. At the time of a fall-related hip fracture, 24% of people were barefoot or in socks. Another 33% were in slippers. That's more than half. More than half of serious fall-related injuries happened while people were wearing something that gave them almost no stability at all. I see this constantly. Someone comes in, they've had a couple of near falls at home, and the first thing I notice is what's on their feet. Soft slippers, loose backless sandals, sometimes just socks, and they'll say, well, I'm at home, I don't need real shoes. That's exactly backwards. The research is pretty clear on what safe footwear looks like. Low heel, firm slip-resistant sole, closed back. Not a mule, not a backless slipper, not a sandal that flaps when you walk. something that actually holds your foot in place when you shift your weight. Lace up or Velcro, anything that keeps the shoe fixed to your foot rather than your foot chasing the shoe. The rule I give everyone: if it can slip off your foot without you trying, it's a fall risk. That includes inside the house, especially inside the house, because that's where most falls actually happen. Secret 2, you're probably shuffling and don't know it. This one surprises people. As walking patterns change with age, stride length shortens. And when it shortens enough, your foot stops fully clearing the floor with each step. You're no longer really lifting, you're sliding forward. That's shuffling. And the problem is that when your foot isn't clearing the ground with a real margin, any small irregularity becomes a trip hazard, a slightly raised threshold, the transition strip between carpet and tile, a gentle slope you've walked across 100 times. So check this out. There's a simple way to assess yourself. Walk normally down a hallway and listen. A healthy stride has a clean, rhythmic sound. Foot lifting, heel landing. A shuffling gait has a soft, scuffing quality. The foot skimming rather than clearing. If you hear it, that's useful information. The fix is intentional. With each step, think about lifting the foot, not dragging it forward. Heel contacts first, then you roll through to the toe. Heel to toe. It sounds basic, but for a lot of people, just bringing conscious attention back to the mechanics, especially when you're tired or distracted or moving quickly, makes a real difference. That extra attention your brain now needs just to walk. This is exactly where the gap shows up in real life. Secret 3, stop looking at your feet. This one feels counterintuitive. Watching your feet while you walk seems careful, attentive, like you're taking it seriously, but it's actually working against you. When you drop your chin and fix your gaze on the floor right in front of you, your center of gravity shifts forward with it. And the moment that happens, your neck tightens, your upper back stiffens, and now you're looking at a 2-foot patch of ground instead of the 6 feet ahead of you that actually matter. Actually, let me be more specific, because the forward lean is the key issue. When your gaze is down, you're already tilting toward the ground. So if something goes wrong, a toe catch, a surface change, a slight stumble, you have almost no margin to correct before you're already moving in the wrong direction. The recovery window disappears. Where should your eyes be? 6 to 10 feet ahead. Far enough to process what's coming, close enough to navigate it. That forward visual field is where your brain does its best real-time planning, mapping your next several steps before you take them. Looking down cuts that planning window almost to zero. It takes conscious effort at first, especially if this has become a habit, but of the 3 things we've covered so far, this is probably the fastest to change, and the one that makes an immediate difference in how stable you feel while you're moving. Secret 4, your arms are doing more work than you think, or rather, they should be. And for a lot of people, they're not. Your arms are your body's natural counterbalance while you walk. Every time your right leg steps forward, your left arm swings forward to offset the rotation. It's automatic, it's efficient, and it keeps your center of gravity stable without you having to think about it. Now here's what's interesting. When people start to feel nervous about their balance, even subconsciously, one of the first things that happens is the arms tighten up. They draw in close to the body. Elbows bend and hold. Sometimes people are carrying something, a phone, a bag, a cup of coffee, that restricts the swing entirely. And in doing that, they've quietly switched off one of their primary stability systems. Think about it this way. A tightrope walker doesn't walk with their arms pinned to their sides. They extend them, they use them. Because the wider your balance inputs, the more control you have over your center of gravity. You're not on a tightrope. But the principle is the same. Let your arms swing freely. Opposite arm to opposite leg, the way your body naturally wants to move. If you're in the habit of carrying something while you walk, your phone, your coffee, a bag on one side, pay attention to what that does to your arm movement. One restricted arm means half your counterbalance system is offline. That's worth knowing. Secret 5. Slower isn't always safer. This one catches people off guard. There's a common belief that slowing down is the cautious thing to do. And in some situations, absolutely. Unfamiliar terrain, poor lighting, a crowded space. Slowing down there is smart. But here's the thing. Walking speed exists in a range, and the very low end of that range is actually associated with higher fall risk, not lower. When you walk unnaturally slowly, you lose the natural stability that forward momentum gives you, the kind that helps you recover if something goes wrong. Your gait gets choppy. Balance depends more on muscular effort and less on your body's own mechanics. And recovering from a misstep becomes harder because you don't have that momentum working with you. It's the same pattern from a different angle. Shorter stride, more time planted, compensations stacking on each other. Walking too slowly adds another layer to all of that. The goal isn't to walk fast, it's to walk at a pace that feels natural and deliberate, not rushed, not tentative. Purposeful is the word I use. There's a real physical difference between purposeful and cautious, and your body can feel it. Secret 6. Your phone might be the most dangerous thing you carry. This is where it gets real. Research on gait in older adults has shown consistently that splitting your attention while you walk, doing something that requires thinking at the same time, whether that's counting, having a conversation, or reading a screen, changes how you move. Stride length shortens. Walking speed drops. The smoothness and consistency of each step decreases. These are the exact same gait changes linked to higher fall risk. Think about what's already happening. Walking is already pulling more from your brain than it used to. Add a phone screen to that equation, and something has to give. So when something else demands your attention at the same time, a text notification, someone calling your name, a thought you're working through, your brain has to make a choice about where resources go. And sometimes what it borrows from is the system managing your balance. You don't feel it happening. That's what makes it dangerous. This plays out in the most ordinary moments. The walk across the parking lot while you're checking your phone. The stairs while you're mid-conversation. The hallway at home while your mind is somewhere else entirely. Not dramatic, not obvious. Just ordinary moments where the margin ran out. And I want you to sit with this for a second. Looking back at falls that changed things. The ones that led to surgery, that started the downward spiral, that turned a capable, independent person into someone who needed help. A lot of them trace back to one distracted moment. A glance at a screen on the way to the car, a text answered at the top of the stairs, something that took 3 seconds and cost everything. That doesn't have to be you, but it will keep happening to people who don't know this is a real, documented risk. Not a small concern, not a technicality, a genuine pattern. Phone goes in the pocket, both hands free, eyes forward, walk first. Everything else waits 30 seconds. That's a habit that costs you nothing and protects you from something you really don't want to experience. Secret 7. Your walking is only as good as the foundation under it. Everything we've covered, the stride, the gaze, the arm swing, the pace, all of it depends on one thing: whether your legs and your balance system are strong enough to actually execute it when it counts. This is the part most people miss. They focus on the moments of walking and ignore the work that happens between walks. The research on this is worth knowing. Researchers pulled together 24 separate studies on this question and found that Tai Chi reduced fall risk in older adults by 24%. And a study out of Stanford, 670 participants over the age of 70, all at elevated fall risk, compared Tai Chi balance training against conventional multimodal exercise and stretching over 6 months. The Tai Chi group had significantly fewer falls than either of the other two groups. Not marginally fewer, significantly. What makes Tai Chi work isn't mysterious. It's the slow, deliberate weight shifting, the constant small balance challenges, the full body coordination that trains exactly the systems that lose precision with age, the ones feeding your brain real-time information about where your body is in space. But Tai Chi isn't the only path. What matters is that you're regularly challenging your balance rather than protecting yourself from it. Standing on one foot while you brush your teeth. Walking heel to toe in a straight line down a hallway. Sit to stand from a chair without using your hands. None of these are dramatic. All of them are direct investments in the foundation that everything else depends on. Technique without strength has a ceiling. Build the foundation. Secret 8. Transitions are where falls actually happen. You've probably noticed that falls rarely happen in the middle of a long, steady walk. They happen at the edges, getting up from a chair, stepping off a curb, moving from carpet to hard floor, turning around quickly in a tight space, getting in and out of the car. These are transitions, moments where your movement pattern changes, your support base shifts, and your balance system has to recalibrate all at once, in a fraction of a second. And look, the problem with transitions is that they feel low stakes. They're brief, so people rush through them. They stand up from a chair and start walking before their legs have registered that they're upright. They step off a curb with their weight already committed before their foot has landed. They turn quickly and their center of gravity arrives a beat after their feet, which leads to the simplest correction in this entire video. Pause at transitions. Not a long pause, a breath. One deliberate second of reset before you move into the next action. Stand up, pause, let your body register that it's upright. Then walk. Step off the curb. Pause. Let the foot land and feel the surface. Then continue. Start a turn slowly. Let your eyes lead. then your head, then your body. Don't spin, rotate. Transitions are where the margin is thinnest, and most people have never been told to slow them down. A 1-second pause is often the entire difference between a smooth recovery and something that isn't. That's a second well spent. 1 in 4 older adults falls every year, but 3 in 4 don't. And the people who don't aren't just lucky. A lot of them have built, often without realizing it, habits that protect them. They walk with intention, they wear the right shoes, they pay attention when they move. That's exactly what you're building right now. Pick 2 things from this video, the ones that felt most like, that's me, when you heard them. Start there. Be consistent for a couple of weeks, then add another. The window to do this work is now. While everything is still functioning, while the changes are still small, do it while it's still easy. That's when it actually sticks. If this was useful, subscribe. I put out new content every week on staying strong, staying mobile, and staying independent as you get older. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.